all taxes definitely impact those that make less money, and the monetary system itself is designed to tax those that don't make as much at a much heavier rate, whether it's for land or frankly, it's for anything else. Do I think you can take care? Here's the thing. Do you like paying taxes? Now, if you felt your taxes were actually going to something that was beneficial, you probably wouldn't care. I wouldn't care. But when you're looking at the land taxes or any taxes, so much of that money is wasted because it's so easy to spend other people's money. And what I know is that during the Great Depression, you could have had your house or your property paid off in full, but if you did not pay your taxes, then you lost the property. And so when I'm looking at land taxes and looking at what happens to them, which has already started here. I mean, we had an increase of, I think, 4%, which is the highest level percentage-wise since the mid-90s on the land taxes, on property taxes. Then you can see the writing on the wall because land is immovable property, right? You can't put that property on your back and take it. And so governments utilize that, and they've been saying we have not been using this enough. So when you're looking at land tax, it actually makes me quite nervous because I see historically what happens to property taxes during hyperinflationary and reset events, which is what we are going through. So, I think the whole system needs a complete overhaul. And I think there needs to be much better checks and balances because it's so easy to spend other people's money.
Yeah.
And the deficits and all of that. Do people really think that there's no consequences to the level of and the burden of the debt that federal, state, municipal governments, individuals, corporations, people really think that there's no consequence to all of this debt. The land tax, whether it's property taxes, sales, or however, we are taxed to death. When you buy something, this is like, I don't know, quadrillion taxation. So I think there are more fair ways to do it. But aside from that, I think it needs a big overhaul and then a whole lot more accountability. And maybe we will get this in the reset, maybe we won't, but I'm going to tell you, you need to be able to pay your land taxes. Bill Gates will not have a problem doing that. People, that don't make as much money, upper class, middle class, it depends on where you're holding your wealth too. If you're holding your wealth in intangibles that are easy to confiscate, the market goes down, what are you going to do? Nothing, right? There's nothing you can do. If that's where you're holding your wealth, then even the wealthy are going to have problems meeting their taxes down the road when we're in that hyperinflationary event. That's why gold and silver outside of the system, real money, is so critical because anything can happen on a short-term manipulated basis. It's easy peasy and cheap. On a longer-term basis, you need to have particularly gold to be able to always pay that land tax and also to be able to cover your mortgage.
Yeah.
Those are the two big threats to real estate. Is that going to be a problem for Jeff Bezos or Bill Gates? No.
Yeah.
Is that going to be a problem it's not going to be a problem for me either because I have the gold to cover that regardless of what happens. But for most people that don't realize that this is really a monetary reset, then that's going to be a problem. And corporations are more important than the individuals. So it would be lovely, and it is actually my fondest wish, that what's happening gets burned off during the reset.
Yeah.
But if the same people remain in power, so what? If they get rid of all of these taxes and they go to one land tax, do you think that's where it's going to stop? What did the VAT come in at when it first came in? Was it, I don't know what it was in Ireland, but I think it was something like 5 or 6%, and now you're up to 20%,
Yeah.
right? So when you stop and you look at it, and I want to point something else out that is not really visible but is critically important. The whole fiat money system, so the government-based money system, it by design is designed around inflation. So you want to talk about the normal person trying to get ahead? I mean, you are cut off at the knees because your income will never keep pace with inflation. But corporations do, and those that are running those corporations do, because what's inflation gauged on but their products and their services, right? And that's really what's enabled that vast wealth and income inequality. And the genius of this fiat money system is how they intentionally create the inflation, and then they tax it. So, I mean, it's disgusting to me. On a gold standard, they can't get away with it because there are limitations and restrictions. But now we've got all this financial engineering. This is all by design. So you think about, in the inflated economy that we're in right now, and you look at, since we're talking about real estate, look at what's happening to property prices globally, right? They're being inflated up because of all of this excess money and the low rates to enable you to take on more debt, which is why rates cannot go, well, they will go up at some point in here, but they're going to have to keep those artificially subdued. But the genius of being able to create that inflation and then tax that inflation, even on your wages, on everything, on the goods and the services. I mean, it's evil genius. But how in the world? The only way, this is my opinion, the only way that I think that the average person can get ahead is if they accumulate physical gold and physical silver, because it's the only asset class that is severely undervalued. It's cheap, cheap, cheap. Because a rising gold price is an indication of a failing fiat currency and a failing system. You could see the stock market go up, but at the same time that stock market is going up, the purchasing power value, which is really what matters to us, continues to go down until we get not just zero, but listen to the talk and watch what's happening, negative purchasing power value.